disrupted.
Welcome to the Author Spotlight. On this episode, we're interviewing Penelope Holt and her book, The Angel Scroll. Hi, Penelope. Thanks for being on
Hello.
the show.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Great. So, why don't you let us know why we should read your book?
Well, the Angel Scroll, you know, when you have to actually, someone asked me to turn it into a movie script, which is sort of a blast from the past because I started life as a playwright. And
Oh,
so she hooked me up with a writing partner who's an Emmy Award-winning director. And then you have to put all your pitch together. And you know, in Hollywood, famously, you have to come up with a pitch that summarizes the book. So the book is like the Da Vinci Code meets Eat, Pray, Love meets the Celestine Prophecy. So it's yes, so it's I read the book the Da Vinci Code years ago, and I just sort of loved the idea of having these religious fringe themes. Some people think
mhm.
they're conspiracy, others think that they're well documented. So basically, the Angel Scroll is about a missing Dead Sea Scroll that emerges in the 21st century and predicts a visual gospel. Three inspired paintings by three amateurs will be found, and when they are placed together into a triptych, that they will create miracles. And my heroine is a New York painter, Claire, and she has just lost her husband in her 30s, so her world has blown apart. And then she starts to have visions and dreams, and she channels this amazing masterpiece that is warm to the touch, and it is healing when it's put in a Manhattan gallery. And so she's having all of these supernatural, she's a sort of a conventional young woman, Claire Lucas, and she's having these supernatural experiences. And then she finds out that her painting is one of these three predicted. And so she goes off with Richard Markson on a tour of Europe and Jerusalem and these Rome sacred spaces in Glastonbury tour where Celtic druids used to worship, and they're in the scavenger hunt for these paintings. And so there's some romance in there, and there's mystery and there's thriller, and it's like this rollicking scavenger hunt around Europe. And then, you know, the internal thing is that she's grieving and she's looking to create a new life, to figure out how to go on. She's hoping, she wants to believe in miracles because she desperately wants to to find her husband again, to believe that she'll see him again. And so it's really about how, you know, how do you come back to life when you've been, you know, got punched like that. She meets different spiritual, a Benedictine monk and a Buddhist monk and a goddess worship anthropologist. And so she's on this sort of spiritual quest and this emotional quest, and also on this quest for this you know, for this prophecy of these three paintings. So there's a lot in there. It's a good read. I mean, I've had people say that they've read it in one sitting or two sittings. They couldn't put it down because, you know, one of the things I think is a must in a book is what we call forward, page turning. Like you got to keep reading
Mhm.
because you want to know, you want to find out. And then at the end, when you finish, you're kind of sad, right? Those are the best books. Like, oh, it's over. You know, I wanted it to keep going. So
Yeah, that's exactly what I look for in a book. For, a quick, like the second you put it down, you're like doing some other tasks, just so the next moment you can just pick it up and be like, I just need to know what's
yeah.
happening. I need to know the next. That's amazing. I love that. And so I read that it's kind of, it says two lovers. So is Richard the lover when the guy that she goes around all over the world with? How does she know him?
He is an antiquarian, and he is working a Benedictine monk in Jerusalem. There's actually a Benedictine monastery in Jerusalem. This is how I kind of came up with the idea. There was all of this news reported that they'd found a missing Dead Sea Scroll. And you know, the Dead Sea Scrolls were found between 47 and 56, and they were this treasure trove. They dated back to the time of the Second Temple. They think they were written by the Essenes, who were separatists who lived around the Dead Sea, and they just gave so much insight and knowledge about, you know, early Judaism and Christianity and Mosaic law and cultural and linguistic. I mean, it was like a Rosetta Stone type find. And then another one popped up that was found on the Jordanian side called the Angel Scroll in the 1990s. And they went on this hunt for it. And they thought they'd found it, but it turned out to be a hoax. But it was called the Angel Scroll, and it was found on the Jordanian side of the Dead Sea. And when I read about that, I thought, oh, wow. I don't know if you remember 1999, but everybody was worried about Y2K. We thought the world was going to come to an end
Yeah.
because all the computers would blow up and the planes would fall out of the sky. And I thought, oh, wow, isn't that something if this Dead Sea Scroll is turned up right on the cusp of the millennium? And what if it had a prophecy? And, we're all in such a big mess now, the wars and everything. Wouldn't it be great if this miraculous triptych came and helped? So Claire in the book asks the Benedictine monk who's found the scroll and is searching for the paintings, what will the paintings, what are they about? What will they do? And he said, well, Jesus left us with two commandments: to love God and love one another. And if we can do that, miracles will follow. But of course, we can't do that. It's a simple request, but it's impossible to execute. So she's introduced to different spiritual faiths as that's kind of why it's like Eat, Pray, Love, because she's looking for some spiritual input. And I think in modern society, people are brought up with faith traditions, but they also kind of go seeking to find out about other traditions and how people feel if they have a God-sized hole in their heart. How did they feel that? How do they come to that? So it's not heavy on the religion or anything. It's kind of like Eat, Pray, Love and Da Vinci Code, in that it's got these fascinating historical facts and stories in it. But it's really about a woman trying to put her life back together. And yes, she is with Richard Markson. He's the antiquarian who is working on with the monk who's translating the scroll, and he's sent off to go see if he can find the paintings, and he finds Claire, and then he
Ah,
says, come with me and we'll find the other two. And of course he's been widowed too. I'm not giving anything away, it's earlier. Sometimes I have to be careful because he's like,
yeah.
you don't have to read the book because I just tell it to you everything that happened. But he goes off with her, and he's mourning too. So they're both kind of coming out of this tunnel of grief. And so that's kind of there's a nice like romance trope in there, like friends to lovers. So that's it.
I love that. So actually just recently on the show, we were talking about how we read a romance that was just a traditional romance. And the consensus was kind of that it's nice when the romance is the B story.
Yeah.
Like if there's an A story and the romance is a B story, we can read it all day long. But a lot of the different members on the show, when we read just a straight romance, were like, it was missing. And then eventually we realized it was missing the B story. So that's
Yeah.
great. I love that kind of adventure story with a B story of a romance in that. That's nice.
That's exactly right. This is it's like this it's like this mystery thriller. There's some sinister characters. It's good versus evil. They find the paintings, the painting goes missing again. There's kind of a whodunit aspect. And then all like underlying that is this kind of growing friendship and romance, which is nice because she's very often people don't want to move on when they've lost love, even not a husband or a lover, but when you lose someone that's very dear to you, you want to get over the grief, but the grief is what keeps you connected to that person, and it feels like a betrayal to let go of the grief. I know myself, I just lost my sister, my best friend, a couple of years ago, and you want to move on, but at the same time, you don't want to let go. So that's sort of I think that's a universal. It's a universal challenge with bereavement.
Definitely. Ooh, I'm really looking forward to reading this book. And you said that are you talking to Hollywood to turn it into a feature film right now?
Well, I was asked to turn it into a script and talk about. I don't know what the universe is trying to tell me, because my writing partner lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and I don't know if you know, but we had terrible floods a few months ago. I mean, absolutely devastating floods. And she had to leave her house. They can't drink their water and everything. So that kind of held me up. Finally finished it, got it to the agent, and now we have these terrible fires you probably learning about them in the Palisades, and I reached out to ask how she was and how the project was going, and she just said it's crippled my outreach because everybody in the industry, not everybody, but a lot of people in the industry are just either dealing with the fires or their loss of home or their friends or their family. So it's like a plague of locusts on me. Obviously much bigger and more important, challenges than the book or the film script. It's very difficult to get a book turned into a film, unless the book is a massive bestseller. I loved, I don't know if your group read it, but I loved Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles.
Oh,
Absolutely.
we haven't read it yet.
Yeah, they turned it into like an 8-part series on Showtime. Um,
Oh,
yeah, really good. But and that was an audiobook. I went walking every day. The guy who narrated it was such a beautiful voice. In fact, I went looking for other books that you narrate, because sometimes, especially with fiction, if the narrator is wrong, it just kills it. Like I cannot listen if the narration is not good. So, but anyway, yeah, getting a movie made is tough. But I was invited to write the script, and my husband said, "Hey, do it. What do we got to lose?" So
yes,
did it.
definitely.
Yeah, and
And
it
it
was
still can happen. I mean,
yeah,
just maybe you just need to wait a little. Clearly. I forgot about the fires, of course. You can't
yeah.
do anything right now. Horrible. Oh, that's horrible. Okay, so listeners, if you'd like to pick up Penelope's book, you can find it on the Book Interrupted website at www.bookinterrupted.com/shop under the author's spotlight. She'll be there and you just click it and it'll go to Amazon and you can pick up her book before it becomes a movie. That's great. Yeah, that's right up my era. I love that. I read the Da Vinci Code. We read Eat, Pray, Love last year because we did books into movies. Although talking about audiobooks, that audiobook, the one girl loved Eat, Pray, Love when it first came out, and it's even her top 5 book. Kim literally carried around in her backpack just as comfort because she was like, "This is my book" in her 20s. And so we read it again, and she didn't want to read it again because she knows the book. So she got it as an audiobook.
Yeah.
And she said the author had done it, and probably when audiobooks weren't so popular. And she said it was very difficult to get through the audiobook. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But, some audiobooks, like my sister, Fahrenheit 4, what is it? Fahrenheit 451? Fahrenheit.
Yeah, forfeit, something like that. Yeah.
I have a bit of a brain fog these days. I'm perimenopausal, so I'm like holes everywhere. Anyway,
It'll pass.
that book was, it will pass, thank God. I'm like taking supplements. Some of the members on Book Interrupted are like taking hormone replacement. Like we're all trying to do something, but it's absurd and no one's talking about it,
Yeah, I got the bio. I'm not I do not like pharmaceuticals at all,
Me
but
either.
I was in such bad shape that I went to every night at 10 o'clock. I would have this panic attack, like I was falling down a lift shaft, an elevator shaft, and I'd be like, and the heat and the sweats and the mood swings and the weight gain. And anyway, I got bioidentical creams. I had them compounded for me, and I just took it for 6 months. I used to rub it into my thigh or my stomach, and that it just made the symptoms calm down, and it kind of got me through it. So that's my $50 suggestion, that the bioidentical, because they measure your hormone levels, and then they just they kind of concoct these creams for you, and it just sort of helps with your levels a little bit. But no HRT, no, none of that. But just that was really worked well for me. Yeah.
I'm doing some herbal mix. It seems to be, I was out of it for 2 months and couldn't get it. And then everything just like imploded. So I'm back on it, but I think it takes time to.
It's to build up in the black coash and the St. John's
All of it.
wort, all of
It
that.
just
Yeah.
takes
And
time.
teas. I love my teas. I just have tea for
We
everything.
have one member that's doing the bioidentical creams. She just switched to it because she was doing hormone replacement.
Yeah. No.
And they're like, it doesn't seem to be working for you. Let's try this. So now they're trying that. But yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
glad it's gonna pass.
You
Anyway,
find your level, you find your metabolic level, everything seems to balance out. And I came out the other side and I feel fantastic now, like my weight and everything, because it was at the point where I wasn't eating anything and I was gaining weight because it's just crazy. But you come out and you this is your new normal. and you can kind of work from there. But then the exercise, I shed it because I'm English. I've got crumbly. My bones are little more than dust bunnies at this point. So I'm doing the walking, and I wear the vest. You've got to start, and then taking the calcium. There's issues that come after menopause, and you really need to jump on it, start taking those supplements, start doing those exercises, because your body has just changed so much, and it doesn't have the hormones, it doesn't have a lot of the stuff that it used to have, and you really got to get on it and not wait until you start bits start falling off.
Yeah, I think that's the nice thing about our book club, is because we're all kind of going through it right now. So we're all like talking about like, what are you doing? And you got to do some weight training, and you got to you got to start doing some stuff now.
You do. You got to eat
Yes.
protein, and you got to work. You got to do weight. You got to do weight, and it doesn't have to be big, but you have to build up that muscle, and keep the bones strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks. I love that. I'm sure our listeners love it too. We have our listeners are 98% women.
Yeah,
Football
well,
for
men are probably dealing with women that are going through it, so it's kind of a PSA for them too. So get your wife.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. They should. Well, I'm sure many husbands are very educated on it now.
Yeah.
Because we're making them. The generation's like, listen, there's no shame. This is us. Let's talk about it.
It's effective life. The other thing I did is, which I see you're doing, is I let my hair go silver. And I did it right at a time when it became very modish, like silver became the new blonde. And I put like a blue tone on it or a purple tone. And then girls would run up to me in the mall and be like, oh, I love your hair. And I'd be like, yeah, hang around for another 50 years. You can have it too. But so yeah, like that switch, refusing that pressure to, like, I hate to say age gracefully, but you really, if you do figure out how to do it, you can look better than ever. It's when you're trying to hold on to the past and, your old self, it starts to crack up a bit. But if you just move into it and find the clothes that work for you and the makeup that works for you and and let your hair go. And I mean, when I was going through letting my hair go silver, that's the internet. What a time to be alive, right? I found all of these women on their silver journeys. Of
Great.
and I watched them, like how they got through the ugly dye period where it's all growing out. I did wigs, I did scarves, I did cuts, I did hair stripping. I did the whole shebang, but yeah, no, I feel better than I've ever done. This is my time now. This is yeah, live in the now. And actually in the Angel Scroll, that is the message, that no matter what happens to you in life, bereavement, bankruptcy, you don't have to let it take you down. You have the power of your creativity. You can get up in the morning and you can start constructing a new life for yourself. And I'm not saying it's easy, it's not. Inertia sets in, despair can set in. But as long as you can creatively visualize a life for yourself, you can go out and you can start building back. And that's kind of what Claire does in the book. So yay for that.
I love that. Yes, I love inspirational for sure. So once again, listeners, if you'd like to pick up Penelope's book, it's The Angel Scroll, and it's on the author spotlight section of our shop, which is www.bookinterrupted.com/shop. And
well, I've got a website, penelopeholt.com. It's got my other books on it. In fact, talking about pure romance, I'm doing a romance series just for the fun of it, because the Angel Scroll was sort of heavier and I love to do the research, And it's like, I think Julia Roberts did a great job in the movie Eat, Pray, Love, because you go to Rome, you go to all of these great places. So I did a lot of research with a lot of work. And then I thought, I'm going to do something light and fluffy. So I've started a romance series called Women Who Want. And the first one is Polly Wants a Lover. And it's about a dancer who gave up her career, successful dance career, to marry someone who turns out to be a serial cheater. So she's back to trying to find herself, find her career, find new love. And that just came out this month through Inkspell Publishers. But that's a light, frothy read, pure romance. But the Angel Scroll it's got a lot of good stuff packed in between two covers. So I hope I hope your readers enjoy. And if you don't, let me know. I like to hear from people who love the book, but I don't mind hearing from people who didn't enjoy it too. They can tell me where I went wrong.
So that's great. So yeah, and thanks again for being on the show. I really enjoyed having you on the show. It was
I
great.
loved it. I'm talking to someone at the other side of the world. It's fantastic. So thank you for having me, Sarah. And you enjoy your beautiful sunshine, and I will shiver here in 30-degree weather in New York. Thank you.
If you've enjoyed these video highlights, listen to the full episode on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to like and subscribe and ring that bell to be notified when new episodes are published. Find out more by going to www.bookinterrupted.com.
And we're gonna talk it out on Book
On Book Interrupted.
Interrupted.